This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on this Friday? I hope you guys are ready for a big weekend, a fun weekend, whatever you guys are doing. Thanks so much for spending your Friday afternoon with me, or if you're listening to this anytime, appreciate you guys hanging out on the Joe Gaither Show. You're watching us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon. Wherever you get your podcast, you can find the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. We're a proud part of the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network, and you can always find us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel as well. We're going to have hopefully a fun show today. Got a couple of different topics to get into. We invite you guys to jump in and join us on the comment section on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Joe Gaither 6. You can find me on any social media machine at Joe Gaither 6 and shoot me a comment, question, query, or complaint. We got what? 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 different topics to get into today. So we're going to just see what we get into and how long we go. Let's start with Alabama basketball. We're going to go Alabama basketball. They're back in the scheduling news this morning. EA Sports put out their deluxe edition of the new EA Sports NCAA football game. We'll break down the cover and talk about some of the storylines that are going along with that. Couple of Alabama players are reporting, or former Alabama players are reporting to NFL minicamp. We're going to talk about 3 first-round picks, the 3 first-round guys, and what they've all decided on their jersey numbers. If you guys are looking for Christmas gifts for your kids or for yourselves, they've all decided on jersey numbers. We'll play 2 over-unders with the 2 defensive first-round picks, Terrion Arnold and Dallas Turner. And then we will finish it up with SEC coaches. The SEC football coaches are in a group chat, I guess, according to Kalen DeBoer. That was Hugh Freeze, right? Hugh Freeze talking to the Next Round Live about the SEC coaches group chat. We'll talk about that dynamic, and then we'll finish it up with a little Alabama baseball. So let's get right into it. The most important or the biggest impactful news that came out today is involving Alabama basketball. Look, once again, Nate Oats. We talked about it yesterday. We talked about the Players, the Players Era Festival yesterday. But Nate Oats doubles down again and schedules another premier home-and-home opponent. Look, last year, Alabama got started on a home-and-home trip with Creighton. Yeah, it didn't go so good playing out there in Nebraska, but Creighton comes to Tuscaloosa this year, and so that's part of the non-conference schedule. Nate Oats putting another high-profile home-and-home series on the table with Purdue. Woo! Alabama's going to go to Purdue next year. And then the Purdue Boilermakers are going to have a return trip to Tuscaloosa. So as of today, your non-conference schedule looks like this. Against Creighton at home, against Illinois and Birmingham. You got to remember the Arizona-Birmingham game got postponed till next year. So Illinois and Birmingham at Purdue. You're going to get a handful of games in the Players Era Festival against either Houston, Oregon, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Rutgers, San Diego State, and then there's still that last team to be determined. There's still that St. John's rumor in Madison Square Garden. It hasn't quite been confirmed yet. And then you have the SEC ACC Challenge, where a lot of people are talking about it being Alabama at North Carolina. Just what an impressive look. Last year was an impressive non-conference schedule. You played Purdue, Creighton, and Arizona back-to-back weeks. But this is just absolutely murderer's row. And look, you may go through this little schedule, and you may not. You're going to take some lumps. How many games is this? Creighton, Illinois, Purdue, 3, and probably 3 in the Players Era Festival is 6. The SEC ACC Challenge is 7, and if you get St. John's, that's 8. What do you think? You go 6-2. That's a great day. That's great. You go 5-3. That's still probably very good against that schedule. And we all remember, or we must keep in mind, what happened last year. You go 0-3 in those 3 big games, but it didn't really even hurt Alabama that much in the rankings because of the difficult non-conference schedule that they played. and then ultimately paid off for Alabama in the end, giving them confidence. The schedule, the NCAA tournament draw ended up being a little bit favorable to Alabama, but the non-conference schedule and the lumps that they took in the non-conference, I believe, really ended up being beneficial to Alabama. So Nate Oats, once again, this is going into year number 6. And look, you've heard me complain on the program before about these November and December games where you don't get good attendance. And I don't blame the coaching staff or the program. I blame the fan base getting out there and, you got to get out to Coleman Coliseum early, even when it's in football season. This year, you're going to have no excuse because you're at least going to have Creighton at home. And you're going to have Illinois and Birmingham. So get up to Birmingham, to get to the BJCC. And then, of course, you're going to fill it out with some of these lesser name, some of these smaller teams. But I think there's going to be enough intrigue and interest right off the bat. Then maybe you don't have this November lull, let's wait till conference season to start getting into Coleman Coliseum to support the basketball team. I think that Nate Oats is showing, look, this is 6 years in a row of having a really difficult non-conference schedule. And Nate Oats, his scheduling philosophy just continues to be anyone, anytime, anywhere, wherever. It doesn't matter. Just put the ball up and we'll play. I'm really excited about this new schedule and another high-profile home-and-home series. Look, the football team has basically adopted this over the next 10 years where you're going to go to Wisconsin this coming year, and I think everybody's very excited about doing that. You've got lots of big-time programs on the schedule to go to their college campuses. I love Nate Oats doing the same thing, just raising the bar in the program. Hey, we're going to be on national television. We're going to play in these big games. We're going to be appointment television because we're playing Illinois. We're playing Creighton. We're playing Purdue at home. And so everybody needs to get really excited. I think if basketball is your thing, get excited because Nate just continues to raise the bar year in and year out. And I think that just the sky's the limit. So Alabama basketball making a little news today by orchestrating or drawing up a home-and-home series with the Purdue Boilermakers. We remember last year you went on the road to Purdue and you were actually in Canada, so it wasn't really a road game, but it was a road game closer to Purdue than Alabama, obviously. And Zach Edey, being Canadian, had a huge contingent of fans there. So, but this year, Purdue is going to come to Tuscaloosa, and then the next year, Alabama is going to go. Reverse that. Alabama's going to go to Purdue this year, and then going to bring Purdue to Tuscaloosa the year after. So, look, Nate Oats, kudos to you. The schedule is not easy. We'll put that in everybody's in the forefront of everybody's mind. If there are some November and December struggles, just remember that it's all a build up to it's all a build up to getting a good seed in the NCAA tournament, and it's a build up to preparing for the SEC season. The SEC is not going to be a joke again next year. Yeah, the Alabama roster is going to be really loaded and really talented and really deep, but the SEC is not going to be it's not going away. And so you got your Arkansas Calipari, and I think Kentucky's going to be on the rise next year, and you see Auburn recruiting and having Janai Broome back. The SEC is going to be another bear next year, and so this non-conference schedule just prepares the team for that. And I think that I'm so excited to watch each and every one of these games and to cover them because you've got really high-level basketball going on in Tuscaloosa. Let's keep it rolling on the program. Let's flip it to some football news, and I don't know if you consider this news or not, but EA Sports put out their rendering of their cover today. Actually, I don't even think it was supposed to be out there. It was on the PlayStation Store. So if you're a PlayStation guy and you want to go ahead and start pre-ordering things, that graphic popped up so you can get that pre-order going. And the deluxe edition was the big graphic today. And I guess if you are in the market for the video game, you can probably buy the $70 version, but this deluxe edition is probably going to be $100, $110, something in that range. Going to give you a bunch of extra perks or whatever. Probably give you, you can skip out of classes on your My Dynasty or something like that on your road to the Heisman, something like that. But you can go ahead and pre-order it if you want to. Great, whatever. the cover is multiple athletes, and it's kind of brought up some conversations. So let's just go over the athletes that are on the cover and talk about maybe their merit or why they're on there. And if you like first off, I like the cover. I thought the cover was well done. You're always going to have a difficult time pleasing everyone, especially when the game has been gone for 10 years and people are anticipating it at a kind of a fever pitch right now. But your cover athletes, Donovan Edwards from Michigan, running back from Michigan, Travis Hunter, cornerback wide receiver from Colorado, and Quinn Ewers, quarterback from Texas. Those three guys were on the very, very front. And then you had Quinshon Judkins, the running back for Ohio State, former Ole Miss guy, is kind of off in the side in the corner. You got Carson Beck up there in kind of the background, along with our man, Jalen Milroe. And so this is the deluxe edition. And the EA Sports people have said, we're going to put out different covers, regional covers for basically for the regular edition when it comes out there and when you go out there. So if you're shopping for it in Tuscaloosa, I think all these guys are going to end up having their own cover. I think, at least the three guys on the very front, Donovan Edwards, Travis Hunter, and Quinn Ewers. So if you're in Tuscaloosa and you're looking for just the regular edition, you might end up with Quinn Ewers on your cover because he's the SEC guy. But if they go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different covers and all 6 of these guys get a cover, you better believe that I haven't been playing a whole lot of video games over the last couple of years, but I will at least buy the hard copy so I can have the Jalen Milroe cover on my shelf as a collector's item. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But they picked a great set of 6. You've heard a lot of maybe talk about the choices in 3 different guys. 3 different guys have gotten a little bit of a question mark over them. First, Travis Hunter. People are like, oh, Colorado, they're not going to be any good. Obviously, they were 4-8 last season. But Travis Hunter's on the cover because he is one of the best players in college football. Look, I am not really a Colorado fan. I haven't really been enjoying the way that Deion Sanders has handled his business. I think I've gone into it a couple of times on this show at sporadic times. But I think that Deion's kind of mercenary style is not going to work out long term. And I wonder if he's going to leave Colorado after his sons all get through college football. So I wonder about his long-term plans about building the Buffaloes. But regardless of that, Travis Hunter's one of the best players in college football. Travis Hunter, not Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion. Travis Hunter made Colorado appointment viewing. Yeah, I wanted to watch Colorado last year to see how they would do against some of these better teams. And obviously, I kind of enjoyed when they faltered based on how much they talked. But I wanted to watch Colorado not just to see them lose, but Travis Hunter is, honestly, might be the best football player in college football right now. He plays wide receiver at a high level. He plays cornerback at a high level. Now he's probably going to have to stick to one or the other in the NFL. But just as far as a football player, cool, man, Travis Hunter is worth the price of admission. And so I think is a no-brainer for the reason, look, he plays for a program that is like it or not, in the forefront of the media circle because of Deion Sanders and because of his son. And then he just happens to be one of the best players in college football. Like, how many other players do you know that are playing both ways at a high level? Let's think. No one. And so don't hate on Travis Hunter being on the cover. His uniqueness stands by itself, obviously. Unique, one of a kind. But he's one of a kind, and he's also really, really good at both positions. So I don't really think he's out there playing wide receiver and cornerback just for the heck of it. I think he's actually helping Colorado on both sides of the football. So I think Travis Hunter absolutely belongs on the cover. The other 2 guys that are on the cover that have gotten a little, why the heck did this guy get chosen, are Donovan Edwards and Quinshon Judkins. To this, I say, okay, Donovan Edwards. We'll start with him. Donovan Edwards. Let me pull up his stats last year. Donovan Edwards is the Michigan running back. Donovan Edwards. Can't type and talk at the same time. Is the incumbent Michigan running back? No, he's not Blake Corum. Blake Corum basically carried the lion's share of the load last season for Michigan, but he had 120 carries for almost 500 yards, 5 touchdowns last year, 250 yards receiving, and so look, 750 yards from scrimmage and 5 touchdowns for Michigan. It's not popping off the page, but let's all be honest with ourselves. Look through the Michigan roster. Blake Corum, gone. Roman Wilson, gone. J.J. McCarthy, gone. Mike Sainristil, gone. You've really got Donovan Edwards, or you can go with Will Johnson, the cornerback, or Mason Graham, the defensive lineman. Michigan was going to be on the cover. If you're going to have a multiple team cover, then you're going to have the defending national champions on it. Come on, let's just use common sense. Look, I wanted Alabama to win the national championship. That would have been cool, but Michigan did, and they had a great season and really the best team last year. And so you're going to honor that in the cover. And so you look at the three best players on Michigan right now returning, and you think, well, we've already got a cornerback in Travis Hunter. Sorry, I think Will Johnson's a great cornerback. I think he's going to be a first-round pick. But sorry, you get disqualified. And then, look, Mason Graham's probably going to be a top 10 pick. He's an absolute disruptor on the defensive line. But do the average college football fan know Mason Graham? Maybe I'm underselling. Maybe I'm undervaluing the average college football fan's knowledge, but I don't think so. I don't think the average college football fan knows Mason Graham and knows how good he is. And so you put him on the cover. You put a big old white guy on the cover. I mean, everybody's got their back to him. So it's just their backs with the nameplate across the top, across the shoulders. And so what? You put a big old white guy on the cover with a big Graham, and people are like, who is that? Now, the Michigan people would get it, and they would appreciate it, absolutely. But I think Donovan Edwards was the obvious choice. He's the most, I guess, impactful offensive player returning for the Maize and Blue. So what are you doing? Oh, why are you putting a running back on the cover that didn't have 500 yards last year? Blah, 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 blah. He's the incumbent starting running back for the defending national champions. And yeah, he only had 497 last year, 497 rushing yards. But I bet you he's going to have a really good season this year without Blake Corum to contend with carries. So come on, chill out, people. Donovan Edwards belongs there. You got to have some Michigan representation. They won the national championship. So you got to have him on the cover. And then the other big question mark, people say, why is this guy getting chosen, is Quinshon Judkins. You look at Ohio State, our lads. You look at their depth chart and you see, not the Bobcats. We want the Buckeyes. And you can see, okay, Quinshon Judkins is sitting there. He's running back 1 or 2. That's been the discussion. Why are you putting Quinshon Judkins? He's not even the starter. Ohio State with Terrion Henderson basically as their incumbent. How many yards did Terrion Henderson rush for? Henderson. Yeah, let's see. Let's see what he did last year for Ohio State. Last year, he took 157 carries for almost 1,000 yards, 926 yards, and 11 touchdowns. But Quinshon Judkins, I think, and maybe it's just the regional bias, absolutely putting it out there, I think Quinshon Judkins is the more notable player. And look, Ohio State went into the transfer portal and paid him a pretty penny to come from Ole Miss to Ohio State. So look, while Terrion Henderson is he's been with the Buckeyes longer and might be the starting running back this year, Quinshon's going to get a boatload of carries. He's going to carry the rock a lot. And Ohio State paid him a pretty penny to be there. Now, it's not exactly like the NFL in college where the guy with the most money is getting the most touches, but it's sort of like that. I think that Quinshon Judkins is going to be a really impactful player for Ohio State this year. And so, look, people complaining about the cover, I think they're just looking for things to complain about. Oh, why isn't my team on there? You got 6 different teams, 6 high-profile players that are in college football. And look, you can't fill up the cover. You can't put 100 players on the cover. You got to cut it off somewhere. And so I just really appreciate it. And it really gets me excited about college football and about the new game. I'm probably going to purchase it. I'll play it through the summer and enjoy it. If you guys are planning on purchasing it as well, let me know. You can let me know your thoughts on the cover. Look, Jalen Milroe on the cover, I think that's my Bama bias, but you got to have an Alabama guy on there. You made the playoffs. You've been the kings of college football for the last 17 years. Now, you don't know how that's going to change under Kalen DeBoer, but let's think about it. Jalen Milroe might be the perfect video game quarterback. And while people look, you might get into online lobbies and your buddies might call you cheap for playing with Alabama just because of how good they are from top to bottom. But Jalen Milroe is probably your biggest cheat code in the game based on what he can do running and throwing the football. You don't know what he's rated. Obviously, that will be debated once that comes out. But his ability to throw the football down the field, his ability to basically break any play open with his legs. And you think about, look, I haven't played a football video game in probably 4 or 5 years, but your Lamar Jacksons, your Vince Youngs of the day, your Michael Vicks of the day are so difficult to defend. Basically because of the AI on the defense. You kind of have to be controlling more than one thing on the defense. And so if the quarterback wants to run, it makes things hard. But Jalen Milroe is going to be, look, if you're not an Alabama fan and you're going to be looking for a mobile quarterback to use and you're kind of indifferent about college football, look, Alabama's going to be your team because Jalen Milroe is going to be able to move very, very well in the pocket when he's trying to pass the football. And you're going to be able to call all your quarterback runs. That's going to give you a lot of flexibility for your own, if you're the offensive coordinator, you're going to be able to call all the QB reads, all the speed sweeps, everything. Look, you want to use the Air Force playbook with the Alabama personnel, I think you might see some of that going on. I think you might see some of the old Paul Johnson, triple option. Let's get, modern triple option. I think you'll see some of that pairing going on in customization, and Jalen Milroe is going to be a lot of fun to use this coming up year in EA Sports 20. I guess it's 2024. I call it 24 or 25. Probably 25 because it's usually the year forward. So I'm excited about the game. If you like the cover, you can let me know. If you hate the cover, you can let me know. Look, Carson Beck is on it. I think Carson Beck deserves to be there at Georgia. He's going to be a top five team preseason, probably a top 3 team preseason. And Carson Beck has been talked about as one of the potential number 1 overall picks next year. Yeah, the quarterback draft class is kind of weak. We'll just say that. It is kind of weak next year. But Carson Beck is probably the leader of the pack. And so, look, you put a potential national championship candidate quarterback on there, it makes perfect sense. And then Quinn Ewers, obviously, we all know what he did last year at Texas. I think he belongs absolutely on the cover as well. I think they picked six good players, 6 good representatives of this year's college football season on the cover. And it is a little bit different than what they used to do. Now, obviously, that has changed because of NIL. They used to put the previous year's player on the game. I think it's a lot more fun with the upcoming year's players on the cover. So if you like it, if you hate it, you can let me know at Joe Gaither 6. But that just gets me more excited about college football. Let's talk about some of these NFL rookies. Let's talk about these 3 first-round picks. Alabama's 3 first-round picks. You had J.C. Latham, Dallas Turner, and Terrion Arnold all get started in rookie minicamps today. You can see on the Twitter machines, wherever you're looking, just type in J.C. Latham or type in Terrion Arnold or type in Dallas Turner, and you'll see their clips from their mini camps today. Great. They're getting started, looking good with the Detroit Lions for Terrion Arnold, looking good with the Minnesota Vikings for Dallas Turner, and looking good with the Tennessee Titans for J.C. Latham. Everybody's got a number now. If you're looking for a Christmas gift or a birthday gift, or if you're just a fan of one of these guys or one of these teams, J.C. Latham is moving from 65 in college to 55. He wanted 65, but is retired with the Titans. Let me tell you whose jersey that is. Tennessee Titans 65 number retired. Yeah. In fact, the Titans era, no player has worn 65. The last player to wear 65 with the franchise was defensive end Elvin Bethea for the Houston Oilers. But there's a reason why it's retired. Numbers are retired. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. It's retired. That's why he didn't choose it. Who retired it? Command F, retired numbers. 65, is Elvin Bethea. Okay, I didn't know if he was the last one to wear it or if it was retired in his honor. It is retired in his honor. He played football for the Houston Oilers from 1968 to 1983. So a long time, 8-time Pro Bowler for Elvin Bethea, defensive end. So, sorry, J.C. Latham, you got to move away. He's been 65 for his entire career, high school and college career, but he's choosing 55. I think that's a good little pick pivot. You never want to step on franchise history, and obviously they're not going to let any rookies break out the retired numbers. So he had to choose a pivot, and he picks 55. The other guys, Dallas Turner gets his college number. Dallas Turner's wearing 15 for the Minnesota Vikings, and good for him. And Terrion Arnold is going with the Deontay Lawson route, and he's wearing 0. He's going to wear 0 for the Detroit Lions, and I've seen my Bears fans friends say, oh, he's wearing 0 because that's how many interceptions he's going to get this year. I don't think that's true. But it did make me think, how many interceptions is Terrion Arnold going to get this year? And how many sacks is Dallas Turner going to get this year? So let's play a little over-under with you guys as minicamp is getting started. And obviously, I've got all my eyes on looking for Caleb Williams highlights with the Chicago Bears. But this is more Alabama-centric. I went through last year's numbers just in the NFL. I've got sacks and interceptions numbers. Last year, let's start with sacks because Dallas Turner is probably a little bit more of the popular player and was the first pick. Okay, last year's sack leader was T.J. Watt for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had 19 sacks. Khalil Mack, Los Angeles Chargers, was 17. I'm just going through a little bit. Montez Sweat with the Bears, 12.5. Bradley Chubb with 11. Oh, Nick Bosa, 10.5. Where's an Alabama guy we can choose? An Alabama we can choose is Will Anderson had 6 or 7, right? Will Anderson had 7. All right, so there's your kind of number. Rookie Will Anderson had 7 sacks last year. A.J. Epinesa, the defensive end from Buffalo, 6.5. You got a lot of guys that are Chase Young, defensive end for Washington last year, had 7.5. Any other Alabama guy? Oh, Christian Barmore, boom. Christian Barmore with 8.5 last year, so great for you. So I set the sack number at 6.5. Will Dallas Turner match Will Anderson's 7 sacks, or will he come up a little short? And I'm going to look, I've got over and under for both these guys. I got Terrion Arnold at 3.5 interceptions. We'll get into him in just a second. But for Dallas Turner, I think that he is going to go over the 6.5, not by much, but I think he's at least going to get 7 sacks. I mean, it's 17-game season. He's going to be rushing the passer a lot. It's a passing league. And you think about the NFC North, he's going to be playing against brand new quarterback J.J. McCarthy with he's the Viking. That's not who he's going to be playing with at all. He's going to be going against Jared Goff with the Lions and Caleb Williams, brand new quarterback for the Bears, and Jordan Love. Look, I have high hopes for Caleb Williams, but I know that pocket awareness is one of those things for rookies. He's going to get Caleb Williams a time or two this year. They play him twice. And Jordan Love, while he's been in the league a while, he's going to get Jordan Love a time or two as well. I think he's going to get over the 6.5 that I set for him. And maybe that puts him in conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So what do you think? Do you think he's going to get over or under 6.5 sacks this year for the Minnesota Vikings? You guys can let me know in the comment section. And will that be enough for Dallas Turner to be Defensive Rookie of the Year? Now, flipping to the other defender, it's Terrion Arnold. And look, interceptions are not always the best barometer of a guy's coverage ability, but it's obviously the marquee stat for cornerbacks and defensive backs. Last year's leader was Deron Bland of the Dallas Cowboys. He had nine interceptions. You look through here, Jalen Johnson, probably the best Bears corner, had 4. Tyreek Stevenson for the Bears also had 4. Kyle Hamilton had 4. Jalen Ramsey had 3. You all know Jalen Ramsey down there with the Miami Dolphins. And so what's a fair number? Because a lot of it is on opportunity. Xavier McKinney last year for the Giants had 3 interceptions. Any other Alabama? Brian Branch had 3 interceptions for the Lions as well. So like you got some of these Alabama guys with 3, and you can see the ceiling is about 9. Most of the upper echelon it kind of tops out at 4. You kind of go 4, then a couple of guys at 5, and then you got basically 7 and 9. So I put my over-under for Terrion Arnold at 3.5. Will Terrion Arnold have more than 3.5 interceptions? That's 1 more than Brian Branch and 1 more than Xavier McKinney had last season. Obviously, they're playing more safety than cornerback. But I think Terrion Arnold has a chance to go over, but I think he's going to go under. I picked under for the interceptions. I'm going to say that he has three interceptions, just under. And I'm going to go back to Dallas Turner saying he's going to go over the 6.5. You can let me know if you think Terrion Arnold's going to have a better year than that. I think he's going to be a really good player for the Detroit Lions. But I also think that he's going to be maybe ignored a little bit by opposing quarterbacks. Let's look at the Detroit, our lads, to see who their other corners are, their other members of the secondary beyond Brian Branch. They got Brian Branch playing nickel, Terrion Arnold, obviously, and then Carlton Davis comes over from Tampa Bay. They've got Ifeatu Melifanu as strong safety and Kirby Joseph playing free safety. I think they're going to be, look, early on, Terrion Arnold's going to get tested. He is. That's how they do NFL rookies. But I think Terrion's going to hold his own, and people are going to quickly say, oh, that's a no-fly zone. That's a no-go zone, much like Patrick Surtain did. Oh, look, let me just hypothetically, where is Pat Surtain? How many did he have? Pat Surtain, how many did he have last year? Oh, he's not even listed because they won't throw the ball at him. He's that He's not in the top 45. He didn't. So that means he did not even have 2 interceptions. Why? Because they don't throw the football at him. Everybody liked to give a lot of credit to Trayvon Diggs, the Dallas Cowboys corner, and he absolutely deserved it because of how many interceptions he's already had in his young career. But Trayvon Diggs is a gambler. He'll get beat deep, but he'll also get you some interceptions. I don't think that that's the kind of player that Terrion Arnold is, and I don't think that's the kind of player that Pat Surtain is. And when you are more a consistent lockdown corner, the quarterbacks tend to not give you a whole lot of chances to make interceptions. So I think Terrion Arnold is going to go under the 3.5 interceptions this year. I do think he's going to have a good year, and I do think he's going to be a lockdown corner if he can stay healthy. And I think Detroit's probably going to win the division again. That's just the sign of the times in the NFC North. But they're drafting a bunch of Alabama guys. I won't really hate that, even though it'll hurt my heart a little bit from a Bears fan perspective. So there's the 3 first-round guys. They've all reported to minicamp. You can buy their jerseys now. Terrion Arnold locked into number 0. Dallas Turner locked into number 15. And J.C. Latham locking in to number 55. Let's talk about a fun topic, a hypothetical topic. Yesterday, day before, Hugh Freeze joined the Next Round Live. Right up there at the Regions Tradition. We talked a little bit about the Regions Tradition yesterday. And, of course, you can go back and watch that on the BamaCentral YouTube channel or on my pages at Joe Gaither 6 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Download, rate, and review the show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or on Amazon if you'd like. But on Wednesday, on the Next Round Live, Hugh Freeze said, all the SEC coaches, all 16 SEC coaches, plus Greg Sankey, are involved in a group chat. And look, everybody's got their feelings one way or another about group chats. My mother hates them. My mother hates group text chains, and that's okay. That's you're certainly entitled to feel however you want about them. But I think that most people have themselves some sort of a group chat where they're working on, whether it's with friends or with business. And so some of these dynamics can apply to that. I want to know, though, who's doing what in this SEC coaches group chat? Hugh Freeze, who the characters, who's staying silent? Look, I've got my own little group chat with my friends. Shout out to the Brick Squad if you guys are listening. And we all have our own personalities right there in the Brick Squad. In my group chat, we've got a couple of guys who are dead silent the entire time. Unless, hey man, we need something from you. We need information. You're getting tagged. We need you to respond. If we don't tag them, they don't respond. And that's okay. That's who they want to be. They've got family and lives. So that's who they're better men than me and not getting distracted by some of the nonsense. But you've also got, the people who always argue, who are the rivals in your group chat, who butts heads all the time. You got the Democrat and the Republican are both stuck in the group chat, and so their views are going against each other. The Alabama and the Auburn fan are in the same group chat, and so their views are going against each other. You know what I'm talking about, the rivals in your group chat. You've got the trolls in your group chat as well. The ones who are, everything's a joke. Everything's not serious. Or I'm just going to mess with whoever and whatever I can for my own entertainment. And, every group has one. And I think that serves a purpose as well. And so we'll talk and we're going to identify who these SEC coaches and who we think is what in the group chats. And last but not least, I think you've got the guys or the girls in your group chat who are always trying to to toss out subjects to talk about, toss out information. Hey, did you see this story on CNN? Hey, did you see that story on ESPN? And I think that there's got to be somebody in the SEC coaches group chat who is saying, hey, did you see this newest NCAA rule? Hey, did you see this program break the rules or bend the rules that way? Oh, did you see this program invest in their players in this way or that way? Just bringing up topics for the group to discuss. Let's put our thinking caps on. Let's put our brainstorming caps on, and let's start labeling some of these coaches and give them some roles. First, you got the silent types, the one who's not really responding to anything. And I think that it's Mark Stoops in the SEC. I think Mark Stoops probably doesn't even scroll it. He just deletes every single time, deletes. If it's important, somebody will text me individually and find me. I don't think Mark Stoops is responding at all in this 17-person group chat. And look, if Nick Saban were still at Alabama, I think Nick Saban would absolutely fall into this category. I know that there have been discussions and stories about Nick Saban learning to email and learning to text now that he's in retirement. But all those stories and all those kind of responsibilities seemed to fall on Miss Terry during the coaching days. It sounds like Miss Terry, after the retirement, was like, hey, you got to run your own email and text now. And he seems like he's done that. Coach Saban would have absolutely been the silent type in the group chat as well. But I think Mark Stoops is right now the most likely silent type. The big rivals, look, you got to think about who's going to be butting heads in this SEC group chat. And you also got to think about who's confident enough or stupid enough to share their opinions continuously. And so I think that you've got two coaches that are probably butting heads pretty often in this SEC coaches group chat. And I think it's Eli Drinkwitz and Shane Beamer. Yeah, they were in the old SEC East, no more divisions, but these two programs are about the same level, Missouri and South Carolina. And both these guys are young, brash coaches. You've seen them pop off in the media several times, at different times. I think that Eli Drinkwitz and Shane Beamer probably pick at each other day in and day out if as it stays active, and probably continuously. Man, I don't like that guy. I'm gonna make him look like a fool. I'm gonna get his opinion on that. I think that those two guys are the prime suspects to butt heads. Now, the troll is absolutely easy. You can put your thinking caps on and get it. The troll in this group chat is obviously Lane Kiffin. There's no other reason for Lane Kiffin to be active in this chat than to mess with all these other coaches. Oh, look at this recruit I just got. Oh, look at this picture of this, whatever the case may be. Here's he's got that dog. I guarantee you he's probably sending pictures of his dog's turds in there just to mess with everybody. Lane Kiffin is easily the troll in the group chat. He's probably making fun of Eli Drinkwitz to stir up Eli, and then he's turning right around and making fun of Shane Beamer to get them both stirred up against one another. I think Lane Kiffin is absolutely the troll in this group chat. And last but not least, the info guy, the guy who's probably trying to stir up conversations and get people going, and probably have some productive conversations if Lane Kiffin isn't trolling him too hard. But I think it's Clark Lee. Clark Lee, he's been in the conference long enough. Now he's he's not the oldest coach or the longest tenured coach, but I think he's one of the longest tenured coaches at this moment, right? 3-4 years of Vanderbilt since Derek Mason was let go. And I think he's probably trying to prove himself. Here's how smart I am. Here's what I know. And I want to bring up these topics and send the conversation this way or that way. I think it's Clark Lee who's probably active the most in the group chat, trying to get people talking about different things and trying to get people to maybe take his opinion seriously on some things. And I'm sure the other 15 coaches are there, Vanderbilt coach, you're all right, thanks for being here, thanks for always being an active participant. So look, you can let me know what you think about your group chat, or let me know what you think's going on in this SEC coaches group chat. I wonder if they're talking mess about different recruits. So this guy asked me for $1 million. Can you believe that? I don't know. I wonder if they're talking mess about, attendance in some of these other leagues. And, we're the SEC. It's a 12-team playoff. We're definitely getting 4 teams in the playoff this year. I wonder what kind of conversations are going on in that group chat. Hugh Freeze says it's not active all the time, but when it does get going, he said it does get going, and it's interesting to be a part of. I'd love to be a random number just sitting and watching. Let me be a little ghost. I'll be the quiet one in the SEC coaches group chat, just gleaning information about these coaches, about these programs. I think that'd be a lot of fun. We gotta get Apple to hack into that and let us see the transcripts of some of those chats. Last but not least for this Friday, and I appreciate everybody who's jumped in and joined us. I see a lot of people who have joined us live. You can always join us live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Joe Gaither 6, or find us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. You can always listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. Last but not least, big event here in Tuscaloosa over the weekend is Alabama baseball. It's the last home series of the year. Look, we talked about it with Will Miller on Monday, I believe. We talked about the Mississippi State series from last week and how tough it was based on everybody being sick, or a lot of the team, not everybody. I don't want to be too hyperbolic. A lot of the team being sick. But it's a big weekend. Look, we talked about it yesterday with softball, where they have probably fallen off the line of hosting a regional. And okay, that's not, I don't really want to hammer that too much. But Alabama baseball has a chance. 2 more weeks, and they're right on the outside looking in of hosting a regional. If you didn't make it to Sewell Thomas Stadium last year for Alabama's regional, look, if you don't like baseball, that's fine, and I understand that. But it was an electric atmosphere. And so as far as an event, a place to be, yeah, last year at the regional, Sewell Thomas Stadium was an absolute blast. And look, I don't love baseball, but I love big atmospheres. I love electricity in the crowd and people being there for a reason. And so look, this is the last home series right here in town, unless Alabama hosts a regional. You've got 6 games left before the SEC tournament, and you can get up to Hoover. We'll talk about that in 2 weeks. But 6 games left in the SEC, 3 against LSU and 3 against Auburn. And you look at the SEC standings, and these are gettable games. You look at Auburn; they're 4-20 in the league. Where's my overall over right there? They're 23-24 overall. You look at LSU; they're 9-15 in the league, 32-18 overall. Yeah, Alabama's record is not much better than LSU's in the league at 10-14, and it's not better overall at 30-18. But you're just a little bit ahead of LSU, and you've got home field advantage this week. I think that you need to go 5 out of these 6, honestly. Now, is that a little bit of a high standard, lofty goal? Yes, it is. But I think that you need to look. You got to sweep this weekend against the LSU Tigers. You sweep this weekend, you go 3-0, and then you go down to Auburn, a team who's been struggling all year long, and you got to win 2 out of 3. If you do that, and you go to Hoover and you keep the bats hot, you keep the team hot, you keep the momentum going, you'll probably win a game or 2 in Hoover, and you can put yourself right back into the hosting line. And look, for everything this program has gone through, you can talk about, they're not a good program, blah, 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 blah. They're losing all these SEC games. The SEC is the hardest league in baseball. It's even harder in baseball than it is in football. I think for a first-year Rob Vaughn, if you're able to, look, right now you have greenlit, you've done a good job. I think no matter what happens the rest of the year, the last 2 weeks and the SEC tournament, and then obviously you're going to be in regionals, you're going to be in the NCAA tournament. That's pretty much a given at this point. You've qualified for the NCAA tournament. And so Rob Vaughn, you've checkmarked. Good job. Good first year. Well done. You've kind of reestablished a lot of things. You've kept some of the you kept the guys together that you wanted to keep from last season. You added some good talent in the transfer portal. You brought in some of your coaching staff. You kept Jason Jackson, the pitching coach. And so, look, it's been a good first year. Absolutely. But I think Alabama baseball and Rob Vaughn has a chance to exceed first-year expectations by hosting a regional. If you can host a regional after almost 12 months, I guess 11 and a half months. 11 and a half, 12 months. After the last 11 and a half, 12 months, firing Brad Bohannon, having Jason Jackson interim coach, then having, transfer portals out, which is part of the game, having to hire a new coach, having to basically reestablish a system or build a system, get a foundation going. If you're able to host a regional in 4 weeks or so, then you have absolutely exceeded expectation. And I think that Alabama has every chance to still do that with the last 3 weeks left to go in the year. It's going to be huge this weekend in Tuscaloosa. You got a game right now at 6 o'clock tonight on Friday night. You got a game 4 o'clock on Saturday and 1 o'clock on Sunday. Those are your last 3 times, guaranteed times, to see the Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa. And I think that the guys deserve your support. There's not really anything else going on in town, in my opinion, tonight or over the weekend sports-wise. I guess tomorrow's big game with the Stallions and Battlehawks. You can go up there to Birmingham and see A.J. McCarron if you want to do that. If football is more your thing, I understand that. Seeing A.J. play back in Alabama for the first time since he left college is going to be a big deal. But if Tuscaloosa is your home base, or if you can't really get to Birmingham, consider going to these baseball games. 6 o'clock tonight, Sewell Thomas Stadium, 4 o'clock on Saturday, and 1 o'clock on Sunday. Support the guys, see if they can't get a big old sweep and get themselves into the hosting line of the NCAA tournament. All right, we're going to get out of here for the day. I want to say a big shout out to this guy with his Bleep Auburn, LSU, and Tennessee too. Roll Tide Joe. Roll Tide to you, sir. We appreciate you guys, you watching the show. He commented on Facebook, on Twitter, and you can too, at Joe Gaither 6. The show is going to be on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Joe Gaither 6, on the BamaCentral YouTube channel at BamaCentral. And then always on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. We encourage you to follow Will Miller and Kim Rankin. They're going to be out at the Joe tonight covering all the baseball action. So if you can't be there, you can follow them on Twitter at RealWBMiller and at KimRankin1 on the Twitter machine, as they're going to cover everything for BamaCentral.com. That's going to do it for my show this week and for the day. I appreciate everybody who's joined us. We'll be back for another edition next week right here on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither 6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.